All righty, good afternoon, good morning, hello, welcome. This is your webinar. This is a session all about your sustainability. Now, I am going to take about an hour to an hour and a half to do this, depending on how many questions you've got, because this is an interesting topic. It's all about how sustainable is your accounting firm without you. So there you go. So my name is Rob Nixon. Super happy to be here today. Really excited to be joining you from Brisbane, Australia. So that's where I am. I want you to open up the chat. This is my 30th year working with accounting firms so far in 18 countries personally, and looking forward to giving you some wisdom, some ideas, some thoughts on how to make your accounting business more sustainable. So open up the chat. We're going to be talking via chat because it's a one-way conversation. And can you please put in there, whoops, turn that off. Sorry about that. Where you are coming from. So hi from, so I can just make sure you can hear me. I'm just talking to a camera and a microphone right now. And I need to make sure that you can hear me. Where you're from today. Ed Lloyd, good to hear you, man. Charlotte, North Carolina. All right, Sun Valley, Idaho. Chicago, Calgary, cool. Melbourne, he's from Melbourne. Walter Kinney, cool. New Britain, Winnipeg, Utah. Joe, good to see you, man. See you in a couple of weeks. Cairns, Cairns, those that are coming to Australia must go to Cairns. Raleigh, North Carolina, great place. I was there earlier on this year, playing golf at Pinehurst, went down there, West Vancouver. Gordon, good to see you, man. Nova Scotia. Hey, David Fagan from Nova Scotia. I'll be visiting your area in September 2, 3, and 4. I'm playing golf at Cabot Cliffs and Cabot Links. Where else are you from? So David knows where that is. Collingwood, Ontario, Washington, Mississauga. We've got Chicago. Great. You can all hear me. Key West, Florida. Thank you, everybody. All right. So, team, we're going to be using the chat, right? So make sure as we go through, this is a very technical session. It's got a lot of detail. It's a technical session that will probably raise more questions than answers given, because it's a very big conversation, which is how do we make this accounting firm more sustainable than it currently is. So let's get into it and let's get started with, oh, where's my chat gone? Get the chat over here so I can see. Great, okay. So let's get started. Team, we have an agenda that is all about helping you be successful. So our unhidden agenda, we are a coaching business. We coach accounting firms to help them be super successful. And with those accounting firms, our objective is to get you to more than $1 million profit per partner after tax while you're working less than 500 client delivery hours. We have some capacity right now. We want to help 8 new firms right now. And so basically, if you are more than $1 million in revenue now, 1 to 5 aligned partners, I'll repeat this towards the end as well, you're ambitious and you're coachable, then let's meet to see if we can help. Either scan that QR code, or if you go into the chat now, there is a meeting invite that you can actually go through. So if that's of interest to you, we'd love to help you have an initial conversation to see if we can actually help you achieve your objectives and see if we're aligned with what we're doing. So let's get into this. Let's have a look at what the journey looks like for an accounting partner who runs an accounting business. So this is a journey that you're on that you don't know that you're even on, if that makes sense, right? So what this means is that you've started your life, and I'm just talking to the partners right now or the future partners. You start your life as an owner in accounting practice and a practice owner. And the way you got there was you either worked at a firm and became a partner of that firm, or you worked at a few firms and decided to step out on your own and start your own firm, right? And you're a practice owner. You run a practice. A practitioner practicing their craft. And with that, typically you are grinding it out and working way too much in the business. You're grinding it out. And that's great for a lifestyle, and it's okay money, but there's far less time involved for you personally. It's okay money, but less time. Many partners, and I've met thousands and thousands of partners. I've trained over 200,000 accountants, right? So I've met lots of them. Many stay there, right? They stay there being practitioners, practicing their craft. You know, in our most recent benchmark report, the average or the median result, sorry, on income per partner was $422,000. Not bad, right? But that is before working capital, before tax. That's profit before partner salaries. So your take home might be, I don't know, 220 to 250, which is okay, right? You're better than most. And it provides a decent income. Not awesome. You're not going to create wealth out of that, huge wealth, but you can have a good lifestyle and you're working some pretty big hours. Level two. Level two, as a business owner. Now we flip the switch. We flip the switch and go, you know what? I want to reduce my time as a practitioner practicing, and I want to be more running a business, right? So what does that mean? Well, what it means is, as the partners, you spend more time working on the business than in the business. So you flip it around. And Michael Gerber, in his seminal work, 1986, the E-Myth came out. He said, we need to work on the business and in the business. You've all heard that before. Well, what does it actually mean? Well, you work on the business, which is tasks that get leverage. Leverage of time, leverage of money, leverage of people, etc. Rather than you personally doing the work, you personally doing the client work, you personally meeting with the clients, you personally managing the team, you personally doing the firm admin, you personally doing the practice management. I'm looking at software. I'm exhausted just talking about this. That all stinks of effort, right? The in piece stinks of effort. You spend more time working on it, strategy, thinking, marketing, sales, and you flip it. And with that, we get more leverage and we now have more money and more time. The firms we meet to start coaching are typically at level one. But level three is the hidden, big hidden agenda. And the big hidden agenda of what happens next? What happens next, right? I've got my hours down. I'm a partner. I'm making, 500, 750, $1 million a year profit. And my hours are way down. I've now got my hours to, 600, 700 client hours or 400 client hours or whatever, and I'm down to a 4-day work week. What's next? What's next is where the real excitement is. And that's when you get to what's called investor level. An investor level is where what's that doing there? Boom, boom, boom. Investor level is where you now become an owner, but not an operator. An owner, but not an operator. And what that is where you've got a business, and this is totally doable. I've seen it over the last 30 years. It's totally doable. You've now got a business that is working for you and you're not working in it. And that business now has the ability to create generational wealth. Because why would you sell it? Why would you sell the business if the business is producing $1 million a year? I don't know. And all you do is go to a board meeting and read board reports. You wouldn't sell it. You wouldn't sell that business. You'd keep that business for generational wealth. It's an asset where you can go and do different things. I was recently on vacation, met a partner and the managing partner of a consulting business, very similar to accounting business, 60 people. And Van, his name, he hasn't worked this year, right? So here we are in month 7, and he hasn't done any work. He says, my strategy is when I turn up to work to be such a pain in the backside to everyone, they don't want me there. But he reads board reports for sure. He probably attends board meetings, but he's got an asset that can provide him a lifestyle to make him some good money and have lots of time. Why would you sell that? So the objective here, team, is to go from level 1, realize where you're at, then put moves of foot to get level 2, and then jump to level 3. If you choose to, or you settle on where you're comfortable. You settle where you're comfortable. You might be comfortable just getting out of the practice owner, practitioner, practicing their craft grind to get to, double my income and halve my time. You might be totally happy there because you love the work. Nothing wrong with that. Or you might say, you know what? I can see that I can turn this business into a business that works without me. I've got a guy I know here in Australia. I'm Australian, by the way, those that have first met me. And his name's Simon. And he runs a bookkeeping business, a $3 million a year bookkeeping business. So he's the owner, the bookkeepers. He's got some in Australia, some in the Philippines, $3 million a year. He doesn't do anything. He's got a general manager in there. He reads a board report. His love is car racing. He races cars all over the world, makes about $1.5 million. Happy days, right? You may want to get to that level to be like Simon or like Van, or you might be just happy getting level 2, whatever it is. And let me get a sense of what you're looking for. We've got, 100 plus people on this webinar. Just pop in the chat what level you want to get to. Do you want to be business owner, or just put BO, or just I for investor to make it nice and short? Where do you want to get to? And is this making sense? Investor. Gordon, I knew you would be there. Gordon, Sean, I. Investor, cool. Vicky, I, yep, cool. Investor, business owner, Brian, both. Okay, cool. And by the way, sometimes you can't see the wood for the tree, so to speak. So if you're a practice owner grinding it out, then you might not be able to see the future of getting to that investor level. Maybe you can. AOS investor, thank you, John. Business owner, boom, investor. All right, great. So most here, unless you're being in the closet, so to speak, want to get to investor level. So let's focus on that, right? Let's focus on the big picture here. We often do webinars that are nuts and bolts, like Tintax, pricing, marketing, workflow, etc. This one is all about strategy. This one is we're gonna focus, now that we're here, to get you to investor level. So what do we have to do that? Well, things are going to change, and quite a lot has to change. After years and years of working out what works and what doesn't, we've come up with a model. Oh, thank you, Deepa. I only realized investor was possible after watching your webinars. There you go. Cool. I've opened up your mind. Great. And we'll just keep it rolling, right? So after years and years, we've developed a framework called AOS. And this is like the big list of strategy things that need to change for you to get through the levels to get to where you want to go. So what is it? AOS is the best practice way, so accountant's operating system, to run your accounting firm. An end-to-end solution all about reducing personal time, increased profit, and building a more sustainable business. That's the topic of today. And as I go through these pieces, by the way, this is being recorded. You'll get a copy of the slides as well. But of course, when you get that, there's no chance to ask questions. So make sure you ask your questions as we go through this with our time together. These are a big list of strategy pieces to put in place. And then we're going to focus on 3 to really think about. So there's a list of roughly 40, but we're going to focus on 3 today. To get to that level, we have to work out operations, right? Workflow, our cash flow, the tech piece, all the AI that's coming down the chute, reporting and systems. We've got to do that piece. If you're going to get yourself out of a job, right? Because the practice owner has a job. The business owner still has a job, right? But a much better paying job. The investor doesn't have a job. If we're going to get ourselves out of the job, we've got to sort operations out. We have to sort time out. So a big one is delegating your time to stop doing things that you're currently doing. We have an awesome, by the way, all of these drop downs, we have training modules and coaching help on all of them to do this, right? And so, how effective are you with partner time? The use of virtual assistants and personal assistants, sorting out your time. We want to get ourselves out of this rut, out of this work piece. Clients, and for North America, this is perfect time to do this, by the way, because you've got the next few months of not a huge amount of work on other than your September 15, October 15 deadlines, of course. Clients, we've got to get the machine working as to the target market, the communication cadence, classifying clients, building client relationships without the partner being the client relationship holder. Big key, right? And building loyalty still. So you've got to still build loyalty without the partner being the go-to person, without the partner's phone ringing off the hook and the messages going berserk. We've got to build a team, the right people in the right seats, the organizational structure, which we're going to talk about today, team performance, that it still continues on when you're not working, if you want to get to this investor level, right? The culture, the team behavior. Remember, you're not around. You're like Simon, you're like Van, right? You're not around. You are having fun doing something else, investing in other businesses or whatever you're doing, living a better life, reading board reports. The machine must keep rolling. So this needs to be sorted while you're still there. Products, getting the right thing that your clients and perfect future client are buying that you're not delivering. What are the product types? Are they documented? Is it systemized? Is it scalable? Is there a menu? These are all the things we have to think about to get to that through those levels. Now, when you're in practice owner mode, the practitioner practicing their craft, you just do. You just do stuff, right? Just do. We're now talking about you not doing. Now, that's for some of you, it's like, well, what am I going to do? Well, there's many other things in this life you can do, like tick off your bucket list or whatever. Growth, the whole growth machine, the business needs to grow. So pricing, client growth, making sure clients are buying everything they need, marketing machine, sales machine, maybe mergers and acquisitions for you. Leadership, by the way, as I said before, we help you get there, right? Leadership. So what does the operational plan look like? Is there alignment at the leadership level? The vision, you are in this future business of yours that's super sustainable, and we're going to put some measures around this as well pretty soon. You are on the board of directors. You're an owner, but not an operator. You're on the board of directors. You may have a general manager and they're a business manager. Someone needs to set the vision, and that's going to be the board. Someone's going to be the CEO. What's the strategy? Lasercution is a term I coined about 20 years ago. So it's trademarked. You can use it with permission. And that's called execution with laser focus, getting stuff done, right? How do you get things done? How does your team get things done? And the last piece is momentum. Building momentum in your business, team engagement, meeting rhythms, solving issues, innovation, themes. Again, this is the absolute checklist, if you like, big items that need to be sorted. And you take it in incremental pieces. This might be a 5 or 10 year journey to go from the practice owner level to investor level. Met a new firm we're coaching right now. He did it in nearly did it in 3 years, right? So I'll talk about Sustainability Index in a moment. His name's John. Met John for the first time a few months back. And 3 years ago, he was your typical practice owner, 80% productive. Now he's got 0% productive, right? As in he's got all of his time off his hands, all of his client delivery time off his hands. He's still in the business, but he's not doing client work anymore. And that was a pretty heavy 3 years, I'm sure. So this is a model, right? We all need to work on these areas that when it's done, you've got a more sustainable firm when it's done. So the question I have for you, and you're about to work out an equation, and it doesn't matter what the number is today, right? When we see a firm, we talk to firms all the time, of course, and some are embarrassed about where they are today. Some say to us, oh, we're not ready for you yet. We have to get things right. That's why you need us now, right? Because we need to help you get those things right. We don't take any judgment. You're about to work out an equation as to where you're at right now. It doesn't matter. What's important is that if you are motivated enough, you take action to change where you are right now. So my question is, I'm going to put a number on this, is how sustainable is your firm? How sustainable is your firm without you? So we're going to measure where you're at on this scale. And we do this with what's called a sustainability index. A sustainability index. To put a note, so this model came first. All right, great. We can see the theory here. But how do we know if we're there? How do we know if we are there at the top? Or where's our progress to there? So here's the number that you're about to work out and post in the chat as to where it is, right? And then we're going to work on 3 big things over the next few years to sort out. The number is as follows. In a spreadsheet, equals 1 minus revenue by the partners divided by the total profit before partner salaries. So let's say in this particular case, we've got 745,290 revenue delivered by the partners. So that could be direct on my timesheet by the partner. It could be a supervision time of team members, and some of your time went on that client. It could be a monthly recurring revenue client that you oversee. You're still involved in that, although not direct time. It could be a best guess estimate. This is direct client revenue that was on a timesheet or not on a timesheet, best estimate, 745. Divide into the total profit for the firm. In this case, 1,407,781. So in a spreadsheet equals 1 minus, that will give us 47%. Now, of course, the higher the number here, the more, the closer you are to get to investor level. Lower the number, the closer you are to practice owner. So in this case, 47% business owner, right? The partners, this 2-partner firm, making 750 a piece, but they're also contributing 2 partners, 750 in total. Pretty good, right? They're each contributing 350, 375 in revenue each. Now, why do I do it on revenue and not on profit divided by profit for partners? Because I wanted to measure that if the partners closed up shop and went home with their overhead so low, they would make about that money. So it's partners' revenue contribution divided into the total profit for the firm before partner salaries. Please go ahead and work yours out. And for those that are brave enough, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to form any judgment. Just want to help you out. Post your number in the chat. It'll be an interesting number. And then I'll give you some revelations as to what I found when we measured a couple hundred firms earlier in the year. Just approximate is fine. No one's here yet. All right, what do we got? 26%, 62%, 27, 59. Thank you. It's a negative number. Interesting, Deepak. Yep. It's a negative number. John Drawdy, I knew you'd be here, son, at 99%. John was the story from 3 years prior. It was 80%, as in 80% client work, so his number would have been negative. 71%, 63%. Any more takers? I got a couple more here. So Joe, ours was 3% before we started working, Rob, 6 months ago. We're now to 63% and climbing. Wow. Hey, Joe, I know I've seen you in a couple of weeks. That is awesome news, right? I did not know that. And maybe we should switch out profit time index for sustainability index. But that's interesting, Joe. So 3%, we started working together 6 months ago. Now you're at 63% and climbing. It's an important number to focus on because it means that you're getting out and out and out of the work. All right, 17.5, 13%. Great. Thank you, everyone, for contributing. I want you to keep an eye on this prize. As in what Joe's doing, we were 3%. Now we're climbing, and eventually we'll get 100%. You know, we've got John Drawdy here. If you scroll back to the chat, at 99%. 4 years ago, before I met John, he would have been at 0 or minus. So keep your eye on the prize. Here's what I found out. We did this benchmark report earlier in the year. It came out in May, I think, April, May. And I asked that question. And the benchmark report's available on the website, robdixon.com. Just go to free stuff and you'll find it there. So we asked the question, and put all the respondents into a scale. 26% were less than 0. So the lower quartile was 0, as in a negative number. That meant that the partner's revenue contribution was more than the total profit. It's a very sobering number because, and the median was 20%. A lot of you around the median result, upper quartile 58%. It's a sobering number because you think, wow, well, if I'm producing all the revenue and all the profit, why do I need the rest? They're just support for me. And if you're anything less than 50%, if you go to sell your business, guess what? You're going with it. You are not out of this business yet. If we want to sell it one day, we're going to put a bow around it and see you later. Next client of mine, Debbie, she sold for 2.5 times revenue and no earn-out, and she was in Colorado, because she'd worked herself out of a job. 2.5 revenue. Here's a case study on a firm that is nearly there. And if you're on our benchmark report webinar a few months back, you would have seen this as well. When I first met this firm 5 years ago, they weren't anywhere near looking like this. I couldn't articulate it in that way, but that's exactly what I've been ticked off about. Then without me, why am I supporting everyone else? Why do I need this office building? Why do I need all these people? I can just pack up shop and go home and be on Zoom with my clients and I'd make more money. Is that what you're saying, Lisa? I think that's it, right? So here's a firm, 2 partners, 27 accountants. We've got 8 admin and marketing. So what's that? 37 total headcount. We've got 200,000 revenue per FTE, per full-time equivalent person. So not Ben's in the same boat, right? It's like a therapy session here, Ben, right? For me too. Not huge revenue per full-time equivalent person, $200,000, but the leverage is cool. The leverage is 18-1. Most accounting firms have leverage of about 5 or 6 to 1, as in, say, 6 team members per partner. And that is low leverage. Most traditional thinking is, we get to $1 million in revenue, we need another partner. Why? Because you think I, as the partner, can only manage about $1 million in revenue. I need another partner. I'm growing at 20, 30%. I need another partner. No, you don't. You need a better structure. So if you think about sustainability index of, that number to increase like what Joe's is, then so should the leverage of people per partner. We don't need more partners. The equity is the prize here. The equity is the jewel. The equity is your wealth creation. Don't sell it for pennies on the dollar. Less partners, better structure. Revenue in this case, 7.4 million. Salaries of 2.4. Overheads, 1.5. Total costs, 3. You can add that up, 3.9. So profit was 3.5 for 2 partners. Profit per partner, 1.7. Sweet, right? Looking good. But I've seen firms of this size only make $350 a partner. Too many partners. I've seen firms of this size have a sustainability index of like 10 or 20% because the partners are doing too much of the work of the contribution. In this case, the partners' total productivity was 15%. That's not 15% of the revenue, because their revenue between the 2 of them was $275,000. And that was mainly for one of them. So $275,000 total revenue derived from the 2 partners. And of their 1,800 hours a year, they were 15% in typical terms productive with their time with client work. The team, not even cranking it out, 60% of their time was productive, as in client work, 60% of work time. Average daily rate's good at 272, and their sustainability index is 92%. Now, this firm could easily get to 100%, and they're on track for doing that next year, or maybe this year, which is getting the partners further out of doing any client work. They've already got marketing rolling, they've got sales rolling, general manager rolling. Now it's to get the final piece of the puzzle, get them completely out of client work. So to get to investor level, you've got yourself out of all jobs, client work, firm admin, marketing, sales. You're just focused on strategy. Team, is this making sense? Give me some yes or some love or something that this is making sense, because it's a one-way with text conversation here. It is. Thank you, Heidi. Only one of you. So what's the key? There's one word. One word, team. Oops. One word of leverage. Yeah, Heidi, leverage, correct. Yep. I love admin work. Brian. Okay, I'm taking that as a sick joke, but anyway. Oh, not. He's got not. Oh, thank you, Brian. So making sense, the word of the day is leverage. Getting leverage in all aspects of your firm. It made me depressed, Deepa. Yeah, sorry about that. Someone did a wake-up call, right? The level of annoyance is high, so we will change. Leverage, leverage, leverage. How do we get leverage? And I want to talk to you about leverage in 3 ways. So you could get leverage of pricing, leverage of people per partner. You can get leverage of client numbers. There's a whole ways to get leverage. But I want to focus on 3 chunks that will get your wheels turning to put a solution around increasing your sustainability next number and getting you that much closer to being an investor level firm. So the first one is your organizational structure. Who's doing what? What are their titles? What are their roles? And how do we measure the success of those roles? This is an organizational and accountability chart that has 19 different roles in it. And right now, as a small firm, you're doing all those. You're wearing different hats, right? Larger you get, you start replacing yourself. And it's a catch-22 because you're growing into a different structure and you've got to fund those new bodies, that new structure, right? And so let's focus on the profit first so we can then reinvest into some different folks. So here is the org chart, and I'm going to step you through it piece by piece, and you ask questions as we go. And this is, after years and years and years, the absolute ideal organizational structure for a high-performing accounting firm that wants to get to investor level. But it still works, of course, at business owner level. This does not work at practice owner level. You've got to crash through practitioners practicing their craft. So let's start at the top. Up the top here, we've got 3 pieces: CEO, business manager, external board / coach. Let's start from the right and then work on down. So externally, who is holding you accountable and who's advising from the sidelines? That's the role we play, where we coach the leadership and the team members of the accounting firm. CEO, who is sometimes called the managing partner, the managing director, but who's the boss, right? Ultimately, who is the CEO? The CEO and the board / coach are responsible for vision and strategy, coming up with the grand plan, coming up with the strategy, not the execution of the strategy. So a lot of thinking time here, high-end relationships with external partners, etc. Execution of strategy, the business manager. The business manager is a person that is running the day-to-day. They're running the business. They're executing on the strategy. They're making things happen. They're holding people accountable. They are, researching. It's a professional manager job. Incidentally, ex-bank managers make a good role with this one. The business manager does not need to be an accountant. The business manager needs to know how to lead people. When hiring a business manager, can there be 2 CEOs? Who's the boss? Not bosses. Ryan, no. Someone's got to be the boss. Someone that one CEO. The business manager, some partners take on that role. Does the manager, you mean the business manager, Michael, need to be local? No, they do not. So many years ago, this is before Zoom, right? So what, 8 or 10 years ago, I was in Perth, Western Australia, and I met this lady with a British accent. And she was, back then, they called it a practice manager, right? She was in Perth as the practice manager of a firm in the UK. Now, she'd certainly go over there, but it's on the phone. So how that came to be, she was working in that firm in the UK. Then she moved to Perth, Western Australia. Perth is the most remote city in the world. And it's about a 14-hour flight from London as the manager in the firm in London. Can be done. In the world of Zoom, the world of remote, sure, absolutely. So the business manager is high-end admin, right? High-end admin, depends on location, 100 to 200,000 plus bonuses, who knows, right? But they're in charge of running the show. Then we have 3 pieces here: revenue, fulfillment, support. Let's look at revenue. So this is the revenue generation, not the revenue delivery. So revenue generation, we have the revenue manager in a traditional company, a sales manager, which could be the business manager. It could be initially the CEO, but someone who's going to drive the team to generate more revenue, right? Not charge more time to clock, find new client, sell more things to existing clients. Who's the marketing manager? So who's in control of the marketing strategy? The marketing coordinator, or ORS. So execution of marketing strategy. The client relationship managers. So a new role, CRM. So the CRM role, the client relationship manager role, typically and initially will be the partners until they hand over clients to someone else. But who is managing the relationship of the clients? And then sales coordinators. The sales coordinators could be the marketing coordinator as well. Some of these roles are full-time, some part-time. In my business, our marketing manager works 10 hours a week, but we have 2 marketing coordinators who work 40 hours a week each, right? So one's in charge of strategy, the other 2 in charge of execution. We don't want someone who's getting paid a lot of money to be hitting keyboards, right? Or writing copy or using technology. So this small team might start as 1, right? And then over time, as you grow, we have different roles here. What are they doing? The objective is business development. Their focus is innovation of product, brand management, lead generation, so new inquiry. All clients find everything they need. That's the role of the CRM. New A-class clients and retention rate, right? So they're in charge of finding them, keeping them, and making sure they're buying everything they need appropriate with their goals. The metrics: number of quality leads. So for the marketing team, how many leads did you generate? How many sales meetings did you do? What revenue, new revenue, not known sold revenue, new revenue. What was the average daily rate on new sales? And what was the average fee per client? So very metric driven. Weekly meeting. How many sales meetings did you do? I can tell the future growth of a business by looking at the diary, the calendar of the salespeople. How many sales meetings did you do last week? 5. Awesome. How many are this week? 5. Great. We should see some new clients drop pretty soon. Leads, lead gen. How many new leads did we get? Quality leads? None. For the month? None. The marketing doesn't work. Either we make the marketing work or we find someone else who does. You know, some firms get external marketing agencies to do lead generation for them, brand management lead gen. Awesome, cool. They promise the world at the start, but the test is, well, how many leads did I get? How many, not how good my website looks, how many new fresh leads did I get? So that piece is business development, the revenue team. We've got to sort this out. If we're going to move through these levels practice owner, business owner to investor, we've got to get a revenue team cranking. Fulfillment. So fulfillment team is the doing of the sold work. So here we have, so the work's been sold, someone's got to do it. Fulfillment manager, you may call them a workflow manager. Managers and accountants, consultants and coaches, planners and brokers if you've got advisory, wealth management or insurance, and what we call client excellence coordinators, the admin team to the accounting team. People who are using the software, checking everything, making sure the government regulations are all done, using the latest technology, et cetera, right? So the doers. The objective here is efficiency of work, the doing of the sold services, creating capacity, workflow management, turnaround time, making sure that lodgements and filings, and QA, so making sure the quality happens. So one of the questions earlier on from Robert was, how do you manage risk through the process? Well, you have a quality assurance process, and when the partners are not signing off, right, but the fulfillment manager may be signing off. Their metrics, turnaround time. So we've got a metric of how fast we turn the work around. Filing and lodging on time. We've got a percentage that needs to be done by these dates. Where are we at with percentages? Finding opportunities. So a lead generation role within the accounting role. And what it is, we have a cool module called Find Opportunities, training process, and we have a 100% success rate of when done properly, you can find more potential projects in a current client project that you can go and then give to the team to go, can you go and talk to this client about this? Time under budget. Well, one of our firms in Toronto calls it time under prior year. TUPE, time under prior year, and average daily rate. So this team here are the doers. They're the doers delivering on the sold work. Now, of course, what happens is in an accounting practice, the practice owner, that's where it all starts. It starts with just doing the work. And then you start growing, then you're stretched and you need more help. And our last piece is support. So the support team, keeping the lights on, making the office work if you have an office, right? Office manager, maybe big enough to have financial controller, maybe not. HR manager, you get to 50 people, you need someone in charge of HR. Business under 50, you don't, right? Business host, and I'm not being flippant about that. You do not need an HR human resource manager at 20 people. You don't. It's a waste of money. Business host or receptionist if you have people coming into your office, and then EAs and PAs, executive assistants. So this is the admin team to keep the shop working. They have a focus as well, which is office logistics, tech, HR, legal, premises, admin, systems, etc. And then their metrics are going to be billing, making sure that all the bills are out and the money's coming in, of course, work in progress balance, accounts receivable, accounts payable, and timely reporting. So their team, we have our organizational structure. Ask me a question. What do you want to know? I know this is, and by the way, this is the first time I present this publicly. Normally just talk privately with our inner circle coaching firms. What do you want to know before we go to our next piece? You're all good? You're typing lots. Ryan, I had a feeling that would be the first question, which is who next to add, right? So where do we start, in other words, Ryan, right? Yeah, Chris says, yeah, thanks, Ryan. That's what I would have typed as well. So where do we start? That depends on how assertive you are with your goals. David, I'll come back to that as well. When you do the questions, Tim, can you make them to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, so everyone can see the question? So David is what revenue size to accomplish all the roles, right? So first of all, let's deal with Ryan. Who do we hire next? And so I'm going to make an assumption here, Ryan, and most of you are mainly in the fulfillment team, and you have a bigger ratio of accounting and fee-earning team members to administrative team members or anyone else, right? Because on the left and right-hand side, they are thanks, Robert, cool. They are non-chargeable roles, right? Left and right are non-chargeable roles. Left and right non-chargeable as far as client delivery work in the middle. Left, of course, is making money because they're making money on new business. So where would we start? Assuming you're mainly in the middle piece, I would start with 3 roles. And again, depends on your stomach and appetite for investing in people, and depends on your size currently. At about $1 million plus, you should definitely have a business manager. It gets complex, right? $1 million plus, we need to start thinking about business manager. Depending on your growth strategy, definitely marketing coordinator or marketing manager. And without a doubt, the first, if you haven't done it already, the first hires in the non-fee earning roles are the client excellence coordinators, administrative team members that can take on the administrative tasks associated with the accounting work. Then we start generating some leads. The partners may be the client relationship managers initially. We start generating some leads and we start growing and getting some new business through the door. And then we start thinking, okay, well, what's next? Maybe salespeople, right? I just got off a meeting, actually, the firm in questions on this particular call here about compensation for a salesperson, paying a salesperson. Terry, what team members should be allowed to be CRMs? How do we keep the firm relationship sticky? Ah, cool. So I remember years ago, I was coaching a firm here in Australia in Queensland, and they had this 26-year-old whiz kid. And he was not only good at sales, he wasn't a partner, he was good at sales, but also good at relationships. Let him roll, right? I was playing golf 2 days ago with a guy called Simon. Simon's about 32. He is a salesperson. He's actually a CRM within an accounting firm. He sells $840,000, at least last year, of brand new monthly recurring revenue to new clients. He's a salesperson, right? He gets paid as a percentage of what he sells. Great guy, right? But he's an employee of the accounting firm. And we're going to chat about his compensation. And I said to him, you're not getting paid enough for what you're doing. Why don't you go and start your own firm and hire some accountants and you just do the sales initially? So, Terry, the answer to your question is which team members should be CRMs? The ones that are capable of doing it. You know, the ones that can speak to people and are not afraid of picking up a phone or going to a visit or a meeting, or, you know, they're in a sales role. They're in a sales role for new clients and a sales role for existing clients buying more. David, what revenue size to accomplish all the roles? That's a tricky one. That's a very tricky one. And I can't give you an exact answer, but the answer I'm going to give you, David, is you grow into these roles, right? If you were to go and spend money on all these roles, you'd be way behind in making no money profitably, right? So you're going to grow into them at your own pace. If you think about what tech companies do, startups, they go and raise a bunch of money so they can hire all these roles and go fast and double every 8 months, right? 8% a month, double, boom, 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 right? You grow at your own pace, but you start by thinking, okay, what are the roles? You know, we've got this great delegation training program, and it ends with, you know, what are you going to delegate? And if you do delegate all that, how much free time do you spend, free up? And then what do you do with that free time, right? And so, and it's always a big number that ends up at the bottom. But you've got to be prepared to hire or outsource or offshore or use technology, AI bots or whatever it happens to be to delegate things away from your plate so that we can then hire people to do that, right? And it takes time, bit by bit by bit. It takes time. So there's no right or wrong answer, David, to your question of what is the revenue size. Okay. Org structure to consider. That's a biggie. Let me go for another biggie, and that's product mix. What your current or future clients buy. Our objective here is to get the partners out of doing the client delivery work. That's the objective. And to that level that you are comfortable with. Like, for example, I still do, this is a education piece. I had a half an hour Zoom this morning. I've got client work the next 3 weeks. I'm still doing client delivery work. I'm not at investor level. I'm at business owner level with tons of time and tons of money, but I've got a ways to go. And you've got to pick your mark as to what you sell with the strategy and the objectives of your business. Here's an example. So I'm going to do both sides of the coin here. Here's what we call a client product matrix. And start here. The top line is everything you currently sell now or could deliver, right? The side is client name, and then you do a tick and a cross on who's buying what, who's not buying what. But at the same time, you go, well, okay, how many of those on the top line do the partners actually deliver? And do you want to deliver that? You know, in my career, 30 years this year, I have sold or delivered about 20 different things to the accounting profession all over the world. It's now down to one. The one that provides the most joy and the best to me and the best result to the firms we work with. As you consider product, what you actually sell. Brian, yes, Results Accountants Systems back in the 90s. That's where I started my career in 94. 100% correct. I started when I was 10, Brian. So as you consider your product, think about the digit flow. The digit flow of in your client base. You came to, Brian, I came to Connecticut back then. Is that Connecticut, Brian, CT? Yes, cool. That was a long time ago. Was I doing a team workshop or a client thing? I can't remember. Come a long way since then. So about 2,000 events. The digit flow in your client base starts with the accounting software, moves to the bookkeeping, through to the compliance, to the business advisory, to wealth development, and then lastly to the estate planning. As you decide your product, decide where in that digit flow you want to sit. Now, I know what your clients want. Your clients want it all, but you've got to decide how much of it you deliver. Because as we look at what your clients want what's called the Awesome 8, over and above compliance. They want help with growth. They want help with profitability, cash flow understanding and improvement, asset protection, tax minimization, financial retirement, succession planning, and estate planning, and leaving legacy. A good, well-rounded partner in an accounting firm can deliver all of that. But is that what you want to do? Because that might just put a noose around your neck and you've got to be the one delivering it. However, if you think about the client in the middle and the role of the client relationship manager, who's not the doer, we can hire in or out all of these roles. We can hire in people to do these tasks, or we can have an alliance to hire out to get these things done and the client is satisfied. The objective of you with your client is to make sure they're buying everything they need to help them achieve their financial goals. But it's what you deliver personally that you've got to be careful with. So here is a scale, what we call growing the value scale, and approximately the value per client per annum on each piece of these 4 chunks. Chunk 1 is called the basics, compliance. $8,000 plus per annum might be 8, 20, 30,000, depends on the complexity, right? We're going to accounts prep, personal tax returns, 401k, superannuation for Australia, company returns, etc. So compliance. Every role in there as a partner can be done by someone else. I can hire 100% of those activities internally. There's money in that. We go up a level, business advisory. Now we're talking about health checks and management reporting, budget prep, KPI monitoring, tax planning, benchmarking, valuation, systems review, network reports, 30 grand plus. We can hire as a partner every one of those roles. So you might say, now I want to deliver those two pieces. It gets tricky on the next box. And the next box is where we're talking business improvement and wealth creation. As the fee per client goes up, so does the expectation of the talent that I speak to as a client. Who can you hire for business improvement? Now, sexy stuff, profit improvement, systems development, strategic planning, business plans, leadership training, coaching, et cetera, wealth creation here, planning, management, strategy, salary packaging, finance statement. You know, you can deliver that, or you can hire high-end talent to deliver that. We have to be careful. If we're going to move through the ranks of getting to investor level, we have to be careful as partners what we get our hands onto, or the expectations of the client as to who they talk to about what. 1 and 2, we can hire it all in. We can manage that, get someone else to do it. 3 and 4, so business improvement, wealth creation. It's, by the way, it's about 50,000 a year. At about 50 grand or more that the client pays the firm, the expectations of the client go up. As in, I want to speak to the partners. And at 50 grand or less, I'll speak with other people. For me, as an example, I pay the accounting firm about 30 grand a year. I have one meeting with John, the partner, once a year for 1 hour. That's it. Ben does a lot of the, Lisa, $100, just go dollar, right? Canadian dollars, US dollars, British pounds, Australian dollars, it's dollar for dollar, give or take. Thank you. We're a global economy here, Lisa. Right? So, and I don't need to speak to John. But if John was involved in strategy for me personally, if John was involved in business planning, if I was in a coaching program with the firm, I'd want the top talent, but I'm not. They do all of level 1 compliance and parts of level 2. So I don't need to speak to the partner. So be careful what you wish for. You may want to deliver virtual CFO services, right? Great, but who's delivering the virtual CFO service? It's okay to say, no, it's okay. No, we don't do that, sorry. I've got someone I know really good who can help with you on that one, right? You can be the center of the relationship, partners, the center of the relationship, not doing all the work around it. So pick your product. What product are we going to deliver? That firm I did a case study on before, the 2-partner 7.4 million. Their average fee per client is about 12,000. All their clients are the same. They don't do they do an automated business advisory. They have a bit of software that spits out a benchmark report once a month and a comparison report, and that is the extent of it. They do compliance and bookkeeping, and that is it. And they're making 55% margin. The boys are making 1.7 million a year each and growing. That was last year. It grows every single year. There'll be $10 million this year with about a $5 million profit. Happy days. Their client is small, from $750 to $1.5 million in revenue. They're not chasing the big stuff. And this thing just prints cash. How are we feeling? Before we get to our third piece, how are we feeling about all of this? Upset, disturbed, excited? Give me some feeling words as I have a sip of my coffee. How do you print cash? Right? Is this recorded? Yes, it is, Usama. Yeah. Brian, you print cash by building a machine that produces cash without you doing it all day. We're talking about building a machine here. And it is a machine. After all these years, Brian, and we met sometime in the 90s, probably 96, 97, 98, when I was coming to the US a lot, whenever that was. Depressed. No, don't be depressed, right? Be excited. It is what it is, right? Aspirational. Thank you, Deepa. And Deepa had them, about to slit his throat a while ago. No, figuratively, was upset. But well, excited and motivated. You should be, because this is a pathway, team. This is a pathway. There's a lot to sort out. Let me tell you, There's a lot to do. Let's not kid ourselves. If you want to build a machine that produces, that is a business that produces a great lifestyle for you, great time for you, generational wealth for you, there's a lot of work to do to grow and develop that business. You know, when we coach a firm, it's a 3 to 5 year relationship. At some point in time, you're done. Just keep doing. Ben, how do you go about finding people to fill those roles? This is not a recruitment session. We could do that another time, but it is constantly looking for those roles and deciding, as the question came earlier, where do we start? We can market for those roles. The cool thing about the roles I'm talking about in the org chart, they're not accountants. You've got plenty of accountants. All the accountants that you want to hire are typically already hired. Well, these roles can be other types of people. Most of you are excited. Okay. Part 3. You're excited too. Thank you, Richard. Part 3 is going to be client relationships. So we've got an organizational structure. Yeah, we've got a lot of other pieces to fix as well. We've got deciding what we want to sell that we can get leverage from, where the partners aren't doing all of the work. We've hired in leverage and we've selected a product set or range that suits, and no, we don't go, we don't say yes to everything, right? That's what I'm saying. Now we've got the other piece of the puzzle, which is, okay, client relationships. Who manages them? And how do we maintain the relationship and the loyalty as well, right, at the same time? Here is the purpose, the ultimate purpose of a client relationship. The ultimate purpose of your client relationship is to make sure that all clients are buying every service they need that helps them achieve their goals. But let me be crystal clear. If you, as the trusted advisor, the advisor to business, you've got this automatic trust, right? You can be at the centerpiece, the hub of the wheel, the conductor of the orchestra, whatever analogy you want, but and directing the traffic, it doesn't mean you're doing the work as for you personally or even as a firm. But the objective in the financial area, right? You are the financial heartbeat. You need to understand your client goals, their financial goals, and you need to make sure they're buying what they need. So I'll use me as a case in point, right? I do not need help with cash flow management. I do not need help with KPI reporting. I need help with investments. So the accounting firm referred me to an investment advisor. I need help with insurance. The accounting firm point me in the direction of an insurance advisor, right? I need help with compliance. Their team does that for me. Estate planning, also done with the appropriate legal firm, not by the accounting firm. You can choose to bring it in-house, or you can choose to be the relationship holder and direct it out of house. And it all comes, thank you, Stephen, the paradigm of your thinking, got it, right? It all comes down to understanding the client by communicating more with them, but having the appropriate person to communicate with them. So this is going to be a cadence of communication, which again has been worked out over the years, detailing behind each one of these points when we work with you, that if you want to achieve the objective of that, all clients buying every service, help them achieve their goals, then we need a communication cadence that discovers all of that. And here's what it looks like. We do an annual general meeting once a year. It's called a GAP meeting. The GAP meeting stands for Goal Achievement Process. The GAP meeting is conducted by the client relationship manager, typically 2 people in the meeting. Why 2 people? One's talking, one's taking notes. One's asking questions, one's taking notes. And the objective here annually at the AGM or / GAP meeting is that we're discussing the what if, we're discussing last year, and we're discussing goals and problems. Once a year, formal meeting, nothing to do with the accounting work, GAP meeting. We've got a whole training process on doing that. If you're just getting started, you sweep through the entire client base once and again in the cadence of once a year. In between that, visit or a Zoom. When I say visit, I mean, face if it's local or Zoom if it's not, every 6 months. Why? Check on customer service, maybe some new opportunities, add some value, how's things going, just checking in. So my investment advisor, Hamish, we do a quarterly meeting on Zoom. We did it last week. It was 20 minutes, right? Just review strategy. By the way, Hamish is an employee of the investment company. But Hamish manages my money. I don't need to speak to the partners. Hamish does a great job. We catch up every quarter on Zoom. It's, by the way, he's 45 minutes away in the city. I don't need to go to the city. He doesn't need to come and see me. A visit could be on Zoom. Catch up. Phone calls, 3 to 4 times a year. Hey, Rob, how's it going? Just thought I'd touch base. It could be a voicemail, just to know that you care. It's for me to know that you care. And maybe some sporadic text, emails, private message, quick phone calls. Managing the relationship. But again, doesn't need to be by the partner. Could be by Hamish, not a partner. And making sure we don't charge for emails, calls, and meetings. We run seminars, client advisory boards, social media. This is the marketing team, right? And so we have a communication cadence that is there. What's that music for? I have no idea. Is there, and that cadence of meetings flushes out new opportunities. It builds a relationship and keeps things wake up. I've got a song in behind there for some reason. We'll skip through it in a moment, right? Actually, let me just take that off screen to make sure. Just do that. All right. Thank you, Chris. There it is. Get rid of you. Back we go. All right. No idea why there's a song in there. So team, a cadence of meetings that you can systematically have your client excellence coordinators make sure that you've got these meetings happening per client, right? By the way, you're only going to do this with the clients you want to keep. The clients you don't want to keep, we'll get rid of them or sell them off, right? So team, 3 big pieces. Objective, move you through the levels of practice owner to business owner to investor. 3 big pieces, organizational structure, product mix, and communication process. If you want simple little hack, if you want to not be the center of contact, start the relationship the right way by having 2 people in the meeting, could be a partner, plus the likes of Ben, for example, and make it clear right up front to that new prospect, and do that next week, or the next time you see one. I'm Rob, the partner. I'll be overseeing what's going on, but Ben here will be doing all the work. Make sure you contact Ben for this, and that, and Mary for this, and that. Have a directory right up front of who to contact about what. Okay. Keep the questions rolling if you've got more questions, but I'm sensing there's some things that are holding you back. Here we are on a webinar, getting, as you said, Stephen, paradigm of thinking changed, but there's still some things holding you back. It might be pricing and packaging, communication. It might be workflow efficiency. Could be you're just too busy, right? Too busy doing the wrong things. It could be, you don't have a marketing machine that works. You don't know what the product is, or it could be your people, right? Or all of those. But I'm going to guess the biggest reason as to why, other than education, right? Because education is there, we're there to help. But for you progressing at a rate of knots, at speed, I believe that the biggest issue in the accounting profession globally as to why they're not kicking butt, building awesome businesses. You don't see this in the tech space, by the way. The tech space is boom, right? Let's just go, right? But in the accounting profession, it's not. Here's why. I believe most partners in accounting firms are way too comfortable in doing what they're doing right now. It's too comfortable. When the level of annoyance is high, you'll change. Bob Riggs had this to say about the comfort zone. We've established the comfort zone in our lives. Coasting, least resistance, getting by. Common understanding attitude, we worked hard. And it may seem like a good place to be because you do work hard. The problem with this is once we stop, we stop growing. And the comfort zone frame of mind is settling for what you are today. I don't want you to settle for what you are today, but you've got to snap out of this, right? And maybe fine today, but without continued growth, personal growth, business growth, that's all you're ever going to be. And if you're in the comfort zone, beware. The danger is it might even feel good. So team, if you want to change, if you really want to move through these levels, and many of you indicated at the start that you do, it's not for everyone for sure. We get that, right? You'll end up transforming a lot of pieces of your life. You'll transform your profit. You'll transform your cash. Transform your revenue, transform your team, transform your clients, transform your lifestyle, your wealth, and yourself as well. So what happens? How do we do that, right? Well, it starts with accountability, learning, and sharing, but also content, right? Today is about content. But content's only part of the solution. You'll get a bit of a burst from today, right? Hopefully you've had a good hour and a half or whatever it's going to be. You've had a nice time. You've had your mind expanded a bit. There may or may not have been some bad jokes in there. I don't know. Can't remember. I'm just doing it as we go. It's unscripted. But it will fade. This will fade. You go to a seminar or webinar, you get a bunch, but it'll fade. And that means no progress. With proper coaching, how-to tools, and support, you keep the pressure on and you move. You keep moving forward. You don't stop. I go to a golf coach. I was just thinking about this morning, actually. I probably have about 20 lessons a year because I have a healthy discontent for the present. I want to get better. But if I don't go to the golf coach, I just coast. So from here, you can do a little on your own, do nothing. You can say that was nice, not for me, but fine, right? You can do a little on your own. You can go to our website, robnixon.com, and free tools. There's a bunch of free things on there, books, whatever it is, self-help. Or you can transform with our help, with our coaching, how-to tools and support process. It's all about helping you achieve your goals. So as we come to an end, and I'm going to answer Gordon's question right at the end. I said at the start, we want to help 8 firms right now. If you are more than $1 million in revenue, you're aligned, ambitious, and you're coachable, then let's meet. Let's meet and see if we can help. Details are in the meeting chat. Boom, right there. Let's have an exploratory meeting with our implementation specialist, Wendy. She'll assess where you're at right now and see if there's a fit or not. It's not a sales meeting. It's a what we call a suitability interview to see if you're suitable for what we do. Right, so it's a chat. So team, that ends the webinar. Hope you found that useful. I'm going to answer Gordon's question, as you can see in the chat. And for those that we can help, we'd love to help. But book a meeting and then we'll go from there. So, all right, Gordon, there seems to be a global shortage of accountants these days. Any thoughts on how to deal with this? We can't find good people quick enough to meet existing demand. Yeah, it's a real solution, real issue, Gordon, right? Let's not kid ourselves. The unemployment rates are low, and the employment rates, so Femi, under $1 million, depends on how under $1 million you are. Typically, we like to get yourself to $1 million first, and then we'll help you from there. But let's go back to Gordon's question. if you, and Gordon, I know your firm, right? So I'm going to say this with love. If you want, with the context of the people you want are already hired, right? Let's just go with that. The good ones are already hired by another accounting firm. So if you want to attract good quality candidates, you have to be attractive. Not in the physical sense, right? Or, you know, we're in Vancouver, I've been to your office. It's more than that. You know, why? The question is, right, because the people are there, right? Marketing for clients is the same as marketing for people. The client you want already has an accounting firm. So you're going to market in ways to get them. The team member you want already works for an accounting firm. So with that, you've got to do marketing to the potential candidates to say, here's why you should work for us. No different to you do marketing to your target market. Here's why you should work with us. So I'm going to suggest it's a marketing challenge that is a real issue as far as all the ones you want already hired. How do you become attractive? Well, we look at every single aspect. In fact, Gordon, I know you've missed out on this the last couple of years, but we've actually created a training program. It's 20 points on how to find great people. All right, Charles, connecting with several of your coach members now. Cool. Cool. Awesome. Rob, very informative session. Thank you for sharing today. I'm connected with several of your firms who have substantially benefited from the program. Yeah, cool. ROIs worth time, money. Great. Thank you. Would love to help you as well, Charles. So team, any more questions? Pop them through. Otherwise, we're going to end. Very helpful. Thank you. All right, team. Have an awesome day. Let's catch up. Let's meet. Let's see if we can help you as well. When I say about starting, I'm talking about the next 2 to 3 weeks. We have meetings happening in the United States and Canada. And I'll come back to, do you have anyone you'd like to help firms under $1 million, Chris? Anyone I like? Yeah, it's few and far between. It's fun in this space. So team, let's get started. Let's help you out. And certainly all the best. I do hope that was informative, useful for you too. Have fun. See you next time and have a great day. All the best. Bye-bye.